Have you ever felt drained from constantly trying to explain yourself? Ever felt like you needed permission just to be who you are? And then, one day, you finally realized you owe no one an explanation. There's a strange kind of freedom that arrives the moment you truly understand this. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for who you are, not for who you've become, and certainly not for the choices you made when life had you backed into a corner and your soul was stretched thin. You don't owe your family, you don't owe your friends, and you definitely don't owe a society that only pretends to understand you as long as you stick to its script. Most people will never understand the silent battles you fought. They'll never grasp the nights you stayed awake just trying to keep your mind from collapsing. They won't know the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed when everything inside you screamed to stay down. And yet, they'll be the first to question your choices when you decide to walk away from what drains you. But here's the truth. Silence is powerful. It's not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's control. In a world addicted to reaction, commentary, and constant validation, silence is rebellion. It's dignity. It's the quiet understanding that your energy is sacred, that your life is not a courtroom where strangers get to cross-examine your soul. And the more you understand yourself, the less you feel the need to explain yourself to others, because you begin to recognize something crucial. Explanations are often just a way of seeking permission, and once you stop seeking permission, you begin to own your life. Think about it. How many times have you been pressured to defend your boundaries? You say no and suddenly you're seen as selfish. You set a line and people say you're being cold. But what they don't see are the years of self-abandonment that led you to finally say no. What they don't hear is the quiet voice inside you, the one that had been silenced for far too long, whispering, "This isn't right for me anymore." We've been conditioned to over-explain, because somewhere along the way, we learned that being understood meant being accepted. But the truth is, being understood is a luxury. Being at peace with yourself is a necessity. There's something deeply stoic about not reacting, not defending, not striving to be seen. Because the moment you detach from the need to be liked, to be justified, to be validated by anyone outside of yourself, you become untouchable. You become dangerous, not because you harm others, but because you're no longer playing by their emotional rules. You stop proving your worth to people who only value you when it's convenient. Instead, you begin to embody a quieter kind of power, one that doesn't need to be explained. And from here, you'll see why true peace doesn't come from being understood, but from no longer needing to be. Once you stop explaining yourself and no longer live to please others, something powerful happens. Your strength no longer needs to announce itself. It radiates in your presence, in your calm, in your refusal to be shaken. Even revenge transforms when you grow. You no longer seek to hurt those who hurt you. You stop fantasizing about making them understand your pain. Instead, your silence becomes the ultimate response, not because it's cold, but because it's evolved. You realize the most devastating thing you can do to someone who once controlled you is no longer needing to say a single word to them. There is no louder sound than the absence of a reaction. And when you master that, you stop bleeding energy on people who never deserved it in the first place. But let me be honest with you, there's a deep loneliness that comes with this kind of strength, a heavy kind of quiet, because most people are still trapped in the noise, still chasing approval, still offering explanations for choices that were never anyone else's business. But if you can sit with that silence, if you can learn to feel peace in your own clarity, you'll never go back to who you were. You'll start to see who you're becoming. Someone who moves with calm, not chaos. Someone who speaks only when needed and remains still when it's not. Someone who no longer needs to be seen because they've finally seen themselves. You don't need to shout your boundaries from the rooftops. The right people will feel them. The wrong ones will test them. That's how you'll know the difference. But don't let the wrong ones pull you back into performance. You don't need to convince anyone that you've changed. Let your silence speak. Let your detachment show them you've outgrown the version of you that tolerated their chaos. There's no need to explain your peace. No need to translate your Healing into a language they understand. Growth is not a group project. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your transformation. Some things are meant to be lived, not justified. There's power in not answering the call, power in not returning the text, power in walking away without slamming the door, because that's when people start to feel your absence. That's when they realize they never really knew you. They only knew the version of you that made them comfortable. And when that version disappears, they'll panic. They'll demand answers. But don't give it to them, not because you're cruel, but because you've grown. Once you understand that peace doesn't need to be explained, something deeper clicks. Some stories don't need to be retold. They just need to be closed. This is what emotional strength looks like. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's disciplined. It's choosing peace over drama, clarity over chaos, control over impulse. It's walking away when you could have argued, staying silent when you could have exposed them, letting go when you could have held on just to prove a point. That's power. And the ones who don't understand it were never meant to walk with you in the first place. So no, you don't owe anyone an explanation for where you're going. You don't owe anyone an explanation for what you've left behind. Your life is not a press conference. Your pain is not for public consumption. And your peace is not up for negotiation. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the silence you left behind. You keep walking. And if you're still here, still listening, then maybe you're one of the rare few who understand that silence is not weakness. Walking away without a word can be louder than 1,000 explanations. Not responding doesn't mean giving up. It means rising above. You've carried too much for too long. You've bent and twisted yourself, trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You've tried to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And maybe, just maybe, you're finally done. You don't need to justify your healing. You don't owe anyone your pain in small, digestible pieces. You don't need to soften your truth to keep others comfortable. What you owe yourself is peace, clarity, and self-respect. And that begins the moment you stop feeling obligated to be understood by those who never earned the right to hear your story. So let this be your permission. Not from me, not from anyone else, but from that quiet part of you that's always known the truth. You are allowed to detach. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to disappear from the noise and move to your own rhythm. In fact, you must. And if this message found you at the right moment, carry it forward. Share it, not because it's trendy, not because it's popular, but because someone out there is clinging to their last bit of strength, waiting for permission to stop explaining themselves to And if you haven't already, subscribe, not just to support this channel, but to join a space where silence is sacred, where stillness is strength, where you are not judged for choosing yourself. This isn't just a video, it's a moment of truth, a breath of relief, a reminder that the more you reclaim your silence, the more you reclaim your power. You don't owe anyone an explanation, and that is the most powerful thing you'll ever realize. Stay grounded, stay silent, stay free.